The story of Jesus' birth is one of hope, love, and divine purpose. Born in a humble manger in Bethlehem, Jesus entered the world not as an earthly king adorned in splendor, but as a savior with a mission that would change the course of human history. His birth, foretold by prophets and announced by angels, was celebrated by shepherds and wise men alike. But why was Jesus born? What was the deeper purpose behind his coming? And how does his birth connect to his descent into hell? This is a story of light piercing darkness, of chains breaking, and of love triumphing over despair. It's a tale that begins in a manger, leads to the cross, and descends into the very depths of hell itself. Let's journey together through this mysterious and awe-inspiring narrative. What was the purpose of Jesus' birth? Jesus was born to fulfill a divine plan of redemption. Humanity, burdened by sin and separated from God, needed a way to be reconciled to its Creator. The Bible declares, "All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God," Romans 3 verse 23, and the consequence of sin is death and separation from God. Yet, in his infinite love and mercy, God provided a solution. Jesus, his only Son, would come to earth to bridge the gap between humanity and God. Jesus' birth marked the beginning of this redemptive mission. He was born to live a perfect, sinless life, to teach humanity about God's love and kingdom, and ultimately, to offer himself as a sacrifice for the sins of the world. As the angel proclaimed to Joseph, "You are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins," Matthew 1 verse 21. His very name, Jesus, means, "The Lord saves." But his mission didn't end with his life or even his death. It extended beyond the grave, into the very depths of hell itself. If you like this video, kindly subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you will be the first to be notified when I upload new and more Bible stories. Don't forget to comment and share it with your friends and family. Let's dive into the story, to witness the descent and triumph of Jesus in hell. In the quiet moments following the crucifixion, as the world held its breath and the heavens stood still, a profound and mysterious journey began. Jesus, the Son of God, had willingly laid down his life on the cross, bearing the weight of humanity's sin. But his mission did not end at the tomb. Beyond the veil of death, in the shadowy depths of hell itself, a battle awaited, one that would change the fate of countless souls forever. Hell was a place of despair, a prison for souls who had lived and died under the weight of sin. It was a realm of eternal twilight, where hope was forgotten and joy had never been known. The gates of hell, forged of iron and guarded by dark forces, had never been breached. But on this day, something extraordinary happened. The souls of the righteous who had died before, Abraham, Moses, David, and countless others, waited in a place called Sheol, the realm of the dead. They had lived their lives in faith, trusting in God's promises, but they had not yet seen the fullness of his salvation. They longed for the Messiah, the one who would bring light to their darkness. Suddenly, a distant rumble shook the foundations of hell. The gates trembled, and the chains that bound the souls began to rattle. A brilliant light pierced the gloom, growing brighter until it illuminated the entire realm. The demons who guarded the gates shrieked in terror, for they recognized the light. It was the light of the world. Jesus stood at the gates of hell, his presence radiating divine power and love. The gates, which had never yielded to anyone, crumbled before him like dust. He stepped into the darkness, and the shadows fled. The souls of the righteous looked up in awe. They saw him, the promised Messiah, the Son of God, the one who had come to set them free. "Rise," Jesus said, his voice echoing with authority and compassion. "Your faith has been rewarded. The time has come for you to enter the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." One by one, the chains fell away. Abraham, who had trusted in God's promise, stepped forward with tears of joy. Moses, who had led God's people to the edge of the promised land, bowed in reverence. David, the shepherd king, sang a song of praise. And countless others, men, women, and children who had lived and died in faith, followed Jesus as he led them out of the darkness and into the light. But Jesus did not stop there. He turned to the spirits of those who had rejected God's mercy, those who had lived in disobedience and rebellion. To them, he proclaimed his victory over sin and death. "The time of judgment is coming," he said, "but even now, the offer of redemption stands. Turn from your ways and believe." The demons cowered in fear, for they knew their power had been broken. The keys of death and hell, which they had held for so long, now belonged to Jesus. He had conquered sin on the cross, and now he had conquered death itself. As Jesus led the righteous souls to paradise, the heavens rejoiced. The angels sang, and the Father welcomed his children home. The descent into hell was not a defeat but a triumph, a declaration that no darkness could withstand the light of God's love. As Jesus emerged from the depths of hell, leading the redeemed into the radiant light of paradise, the universe itself seemed to sing. The descent into hell was not a moment of defeat but the ultimate declaration of victory. Jesus had faced the full weight of sin and death, and he had overcome. His journey to the darkest place revealed the boundless depths of his love, a love that would go anywhere, even to the gates of hell, to rescue those who were lost. The three profound accomplishments. Through his descent into hell, Jesus accomplished three profound acts that completed his redemptive mission. 1. He proclaimed his victory. Jesus announced his triumph over sin, death, and the forces of darkness to the spirits imprisoned there. 1 Peter 3 verse 19. He was not a captive but a conqueror, declaring that the power of hell had been broken. 2. He liberated the righteous. Jesus freed the souls of the faithful who had died before his coming, bringing them into the fullness of God's salvation. Ephesians 4 verses 8 to 9. These were the ones who had waited in faith, and now they would enter the kingdom prepared for them. 3. He defeated Satan. Jesus stripped the devil of his power and authority, ensuring that death and hell could no longer hold humanity captive. Colossians 2 verse 15. The keys of death and hell now belonged to him, and his victory was complete. From the manger to the cross, and from the grave to the depths of hell, Jesus' life was a testament to God's boundless love. He was born to bring light into a dark world, to offer hope to the hopeless, and to make a way for humanity to be reconciled to God. His descent into hell was not a defeat but a declaration of his ultimate authority and the fulfillment of his mission. The story of Jesus' birth and his descent into hell is one of love, sacrifice, and victory. It reminds us that no darkness is too deep, no sin too great, and no soul too far gone for the light of his grace to reach. Jesus was born to save, and he descended into hell to ensure that his salvation would be complete. This story reflects the theological concept of the harrowing of hell, where Jesus' descent into hell is seen as an act of liberation and victory. It emphasizes his power over sin and death, his compassion for those who waited in faith, and his ultimate triumph over evil. It's a tale of hope, redemption, and the boundless love of God. In the end, love wins. And because of Jesus, we too can walk in the light of his victory.